Hello, and welcome to Becky's House of Sewing. I'm Becky, and I'm in my house of sewing. Right now, technically, I guess I'm just in my room of sewing. Oh, look, I have a visitor. Come here. Say hello, Mia. Hello, Mia. Yes, those are my girls. Yes. My sweet baby girl's been sewing with me. So grateful that I'm home. Me too, baby. It's rough being so loved. So, I hope everyone's doing okay. This is my video podcast of all things thread and needle, mostly cross-stitch and quilting. But, never say never. If there's things I need to buy or a cool tool, I might have to jump into that hobby with both feet. As of now, it's mostly quilting and cross stitch. I'm kind of addicted to both. We'll go into that more as I go on. But I hope I find everyone well and that you've had a lot of fun. I got a new project on the board. I just finished a quilt so that I can keep doing this project on the board. I had a donation quilt with the Charlotte Quilters Guild. As a member, we get pre-cut packs of little quilts that we make and donate to the Children's Hospital and various other groups, including Quilts of Valor and other groups that need it or request it. So it's part of the reason why we are a nonprofit organization. And as a member, we're required to do some, and I've had a quilt languishing, and so I was like, I need to get that done. And had an open sew with the guild last, we call it sit and sew. Had a sit and sew last Wednesday, so I got started then, finished the quilt top lickety split, and then I took a quilt class yesterday. With Ron, neighbor Ron. It was so fun. So fun. So I am now addicted to this quilt, which is the Halo quilt. So I need to... I have so much stuff on the floor in this room. Nothing is organized. So I just needed the project to get done so that I can clear the decks and make even more of a mess, and I'll get more into that. So let's start off. I'll show you what I just finished up. So this was my I have some threads I need to cut. This is the block. I'm assuming you can see. Yep. So it's just a jelly roll block, and you can just sew two colors together, and then you cut them into 5.5 increments. So this is the block that you make, and then you just create this square. So you just alternate how you rotated it, and that's what you get. Super easy, super fast. It was very fun. So as I started quilting it, because when you do the quilts with the guild, you get everything. You can even get batting. I didn't get batting at the time, but I had some batting, so I just used mine because it needs to get used. Again, need more space. So this backing is not the same backing that was given to me. I think it works just fine. But I had started quilting it, and I didn't practice the stitch before I started quilting. Mistake number one. So I needed to pull it out, and some of it was really tiny, and I made a hole in the back. Not just one hole. I'm like, that's so small. I can quilt that out. And then I made another hole. I'm like, fine, I'll change it out. And then, of course, the backing that I had wasn't, I had to sew the back together. So, and then I had to piece the back. So what I thought was going to take me just a couple of hours took me a couple more on top of that. But I'm pleased. There's nothing better in life than a little striped binding, I think. Again, pardon the threads. I literally just got it done. So, donation quilt done. Yay! I'm a good member. Yay! All right, so let's talk about the cross stitch. I do want to say a couple things about cross stitch. Cross stitch related, cross stitch adjacent. I started a new, what am I calling it? Oh, words just escaped me. It's like I'm doing a podcast and need all my words. I started a new Instagram account for Becky's House of Sewing. So kind of have it dedicated to all my craft life stuff. I still have some bags, but I sold one. It was so exciting. So thank you. You know who you are. It was a total stranger, which was fun, and a viewer. So thank you. You know who you are. I don't want to say names or anything. But I have vinyl bags still, and then I have the non-vinyl bags, which I think I still have in my lap. Yeah. Then I have these guys. They're all about 12 by 14, and Mama needs to sell them. I have quite a few left, and I do have some smaller ones. I have this one. Look how cute. This is like a 12 by 12, and then this one is just a small 12 by 12 as well. I'll sell you that for $35. These guys here, they're 50 bucks, and that includes shipping and handling and all that fun stuff. And I've got my packs. I didn't get that ready, but here, let me reach. So when I send one to you, I send you some floss drops and a cute little reminder to breathe. If anybody has those sensory stickers, you kind of follow it along with your finger, and it reminds you, breathe in, hold, breathe out, hold, so we can all remember to take a breath. It's the only way I could stop sewing and cutting for the Halo quilt, because it is quite addicting, is to tape a video blog. My hands are hurting too, so I've charged up my hand massager. I'll do that afterwards, force myself to not sew, but I wanna. I'll get back to you soon. So as far as that PSA, so look me up if you haven't already on Becky's House of Sewing on Instagram, and then if you'd like a bag, just slide into my DMs, and we'll go from there. I've been pretty monogamous in stitching, and I've been posting pretty daily on when I'm stitching on my Peacock Unicorn Badger, which is part of the BAP back to school sew along. All right, Mia, go lay down. She's a mess. She's a hot mess. Kind of like my room, so she feels right at home. But I've pretty much completed page 2 of 24, people, of the outlining. Now, I'm not counting the green as a page finish, and I still have some fill-in, but you know, at this point it's kind of mindless. And all my boards are in use, so bear with me here while I grab something. I only have a few things in front of me, so I'll kind of hold it still a little bit. Maybe? Yes? No? Look! So I finished the top part of the peacock tail, and that's where the page ends. And you can see the leaf and this center of this flower in the bottom is going on to another page, but it was like 3 stitches of a color on the page, and it just made sense to use a whole thread instead of, wasting a thread or just doing half. So, and then the bird wing, I need to fill in the darker color there. Isn't it pretty? I love this so much. And now, so details on this. I am using the DMC conversion. This is on Vintage Country Mocha because it's a bed sheet size fabric, and it's a full coverage. So all of that you see behind is going to be filled in with this dark green, just like this over here. So I didn't feel it necessary to have a hand-dyed piece of linen that no one would see because it's going to be covered up. I have it in my big bag here that I made a while ago with all my stuffs in it. Love it. And this is the best part here. So yeah, it's been a joy to stitch, and I've stitched on it like pretty much every day. So yeah, it's been fun to kind of see the progress. And I took a note out of Emily C. She is on a Floss tuber too that I've enjoyed watching. She lives in Georgia, and now I can't remember the name of her floss tube, but if I'm smart, I will remember to put it in the description. So she posts daily on her stitching, and it's just kind of like a nice blog, and it's just fun to look at stitching. Let's face it. So yeah, so Sunday I got to work on a peacock, a unicorn, a badger with cross stitch group. Wednesday I was supposed to go to sit and sew, so I was prepared to not stay at Wednesday stitching on Zoom with the ladies the whole time, but sit and sew with the guild got delayed, so I could do Wednesday stitching, and then I took my little red featherweight that I had worked on, just a little lube job, to get her up and running, because Ron was coming to the class with me, and this Halo class on Saturday, and I thought, wouldn't it be fun if we both brought our vintage machines, because Ron has, if he's got one, he's got 6, 7, 8, what's the number now, Ron? Put it in comments. So I wanted to give her some love before I took her to class, so that I didn't have a disastrous class. Makes sense. Which led me into the donation quilt, which those are perfection for, practicing, because they're usually simple, and again, not that they're not made with love, but because they are donations and you don't know the person that you're giving it to, you want it to be nice, but you have a little more leeway to practice. So it doesn't necessarily need to be perfect. So as I was sewing with Big Red, I tried to call her Connie. Well, let me go back. When I got back into let's get my featherweight out, which was originally my mother's featherweight, and the featherweight just turned 70 in December, so she's a newer of the featherweights, no less valuable, very sweet, but it's a newer case and that kind of thing. But regardless, I'm digressing. I was watching a lot of YouTube, and one of the YouTube featherweight people I like to watch is the Featherweight Doctor, and they're in like Iowa, Idaho, somewhere in that area where it snows a lot. And so I followed her, and she recommended if your machine does not have a name, like you should name your machine after the person that used it. But if it doesn't have a name, you could look up the year and, pick a name out of those, like a popular name of the year. I just didn't like any of them. It wasn't like Ida or, Shirley or anything. So I thought, well, maybe I'll name it Connie after my mom, because, it was her machine that she gave me, and, I love her and all that blah, blah, blah. But that didn't seem to fit her either. So I started calling her Big Red, because she's cherry red. So that's, I think, what's sticking for now. But who knows? That may also change. Mia, you're knocking the camera. Can you go lay down? Can you go lay down? She's like, can't you just hold me? What's wrong with holding me? I've got to talk to the people, honey. Come here. Let's just do the rest of the podcast like this. Cheek to cheek. Isn't she pretty? She's being very good with Mia. She's Mia. Edie, our other doggie that we just got, where we had a little bumpy road of introduction because Mia is blind, and apparently an alpha girl. Who knew? So that was a little bit of a rocky start. We sought professional help, and that's really helped Mia a lot. And now they're, all right. Nobody needs to see us make out. And now they're out and about together. Still very supervised, but it's much more fun taking them together places and getting them used to that kind of lifestyle. Because life is better with more pets. I say more dachshunds, but more pets in general. Okay, can you lay down? You're being very needy. All right, where was I? What were we talking about? Oh, so Sit and Sew, I was using Big Red and kept trying to use my knee lift. The modern conveniences of the modern machines, needle up, needle down, that kind of stuff. I was like, I can't do this. This class is going to already be too technical. I need to bring my Janome, which I love and adore. So I ended up bringing that to class, and here, let's see if I can bend over with Mia in my lap. So again, this was the Halo by Jen Kingwell. That's what I learned to do, and I bought the templates to go with it. So if you look at, this is the block. So you get a quarter circle in each square. So you have a square and a square. Then you have this this little curvy bell shape, and then you have the pie for the quarter circle. What I'm saying is there's a lot of cutting. And I wanted it to look like this. I want a scrappy quilt. So there's a lot of cutting. Needless to say, our class was 10:30 to 3:30, and I didn't have a finished block by the end of it. So I think Ron and I both learned a lot, and I hope Ron had fun. Being a newer stitcher, it was definitely more complex, and so I don't think he hates me for making him take the class. I hope he had a good time, and the other 4 people, there were 6 of us in class, where it was great to meet them, and it's just fun to spend a day and make a mess. You can see on my Instagram, I posted some pictures from class, so feel free to look there. So learned some good techniques, and then came home and got settled, blah, 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 and just went back into sewing more. So I wanted to finish my block, and then you just start getting addicted to it. So I cut some things out. I had already cut out some center blocks, but now that I knew all the techniques, I cut other components to it. And one thing that our teacher, Teresa, told us to do is, she used, they're harder to hold up. She takes a oilcloth tablecloth, the one that has a felted back that's really inexpensive, and cut them up and use them. She would keep all the, like, each piece shape would have its own little tray, and then she could kind of roll it up or fold it on itself and put it in a case to travel with. And then she had 2 of the oilcloths that she gave us because she recommends nesting the circle seams. So one square you press all the circle seams in, the next one you press out, so that you can keep it straight. And in order to kind of move things along a little bit in finding a way to chain piece, which, sewing piece after piece after piece, she uses these, one to kind of lay it out and then to kind of remember where she was. I will say that after 11 o'clock at night, the boards still sometimes aren't helpful. You still get a little confused on what you're at. And I have a funny story, so I need to share this. I'm going to steal this one off. Oh my gosh, my room's such a mess. But isn't a studio supposed to be messy? I just think it's that way. So here's one of the blocks I finished last night. Isn't it cute? Don't you love that center fabric? Ugh. It was one of the cute novelties I had that I wanted to get in the quilt. So, and if you know me, you know that I collect pigs. I have since, elementary school? So yeah, I love it. I think this one turned out really cute. But then, our teacher taught us all kinds of tricks, like to flip the block upside down so you can make sure that you're not cutting off your points when you're sewing, etc., etc. So all of a sudden, I would forget to sew up backwards, upside down, or flip the block over so I could follow it. So at one point I flipped the block over, and I need you to see that that's the right side of the fabric, right there. The right side of those cute pigs. Here, let me hold it up here. See? Thank God you can still see the print all the way through. See how it's a little faded? Now look at the back. By the time you get the square and a square, and I had some, like, 1 or 2 of these bell shapes on, like, that thing ain't coming out. It's staying. It is staying. So there you have it. My backwards pig. Maybe that's what the name of the quilt can be. The backwards pig quilt. Silly Becky. So now what I'm doing, like I said, I kind of showed you these. I already have some boards, thanks to my mom, and I've made a couple more myself. When I leave the house, I might get another tablecloth and cut it up. But I'm going to start, like this one, you could see these are the square and a squares. I started separating dark, kind of mediums and lights, so that I can grab and go a little bit. I was noticing last night that I was laying them out, and I'm like, no, this is still not, I'm not sure that this is looking right. But the minute you start sewing it together, it's just so freaking adorable. So I'm really excited. I'm having a great time. And there is nothing more addicting in the world than having your borders match in cross-stitching, or having the circles match perfectly, or coming out, flipping it over and seeing those perfect points. Très chic. I just want more of it. As soon as it happens, I'm like, let's do this again. Let's do this again. Unfortunately, let's say essentially I worked 10:30 to 1 o'clock in the morning on this quilt, and I have 4 blocks to prove it. I mean, clearly there were breaks in the middle of that, but I mean, I came home and I started working on it pretty much right away. Broke for a little meal, but yeah, I tossed all my household chores. Cooking dinner went out the window. I just need to go quilt. But again, this will be my finished result. All right, Mia, you're shaking it. Don't do that. So it's going to look very similar to this. It's going to be fantastic. And the world will live to see this quilt made. I have 4 done, 31 more to go. Does anyone want to do the math on that for the hours? Divide the hours up for me. Let me know how much I can expect to, how much time I get to spend on it. Now again, that's just the center squares. That's not inclusive of these, all right, oh, for heaven's sakes. You are not the star of the show. I am the star of the show. These are little finishing sections here. So they're like, oh. You are not the star of the show. Okay? Okay? I'm not so sure about that. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Just love her. So, all right. So my plans for the next week. Cross stitch and halo quilt. I don't foresee anything else happening, which probably means something else will happen. I'm just guessing. Oh, you know what? Let me show you some of the things I bought. I feel like there was something I wanted to show you specifically, and now I can't remember. It'll come to me. So when you take a class at the quilt shop, Quilt Patch, if you ever want to go, you get 15% off for the materials, discount on the materials to buy for the class, and then the day of the class you get 15% off. I might have gotten a few things. So you might hear these little clinky things. Look how cute those are. Got that one. I got that one. And I got that one. The octopus is not necessarily my favorite, but that's a cute sewing machine. Not that it's not a favorite. I mean, I don't know. I don't know why you needed to hear that commentary. Then I got a Son of a Stitch needle minder, which will be great for my cross stitch. What also makes me laugh about that is work is starting another walking challenge with this same app / game that's Halloween themed, and that's going to start in a couple weeks, and our team name is Son of a Witch. Just enjoy that. Oh, Son of a Witch. I wanted to share, these are quickly becoming some of my favorite scissors. So they're K. Buckley scissors. I keep wanting to say K. Buckley Moss, like P. Buckley Moss. That's just K. Buckley. I don't know. Does anyone know who P. Buckley Moss is? I know my mom does. We have a lot. She's an artist. A lot of her prints. So there you have it. So P. Buckley Moss. Why did I have to say that out loud? Now all I'm going to say is that. The K. Buckley scissors, I got these at Sewendipitous a couple weeks ago. Because I have all the other sizes, and these are just the miniature ones. So they're like 3.5 blades, and they're the green handle ones. And they have a serrated edge, but as a good needle worker knows, you want those tips to be super pointy and sharp all the way to the tip so that you can get real close to your work. As Jean Farish would say, you would get dangerously close. I got these just to try, and I love them. They're easily the sharpest scissors I own. Easily. Now, I was very tempted again. I don't know if you can believe this, but I did not buy a pair of scissors. I know it seems weird, but there is a non-serrated version of this, and they have turquoise handles. They will be mine one day, but I resisted, and I did a good job. I'm very proud of myself. I have consequently spent all the other money at the other quilt store. I did get 3 yards of fabric as well. They were on sale for 25% off. But I can't show you those because they are on the floor underneath the pile, and it's just not worth it. But I will show it to you one day. You'll see they will make an appearance. They will probably make an appearance in this quilt. So I was very pleased with that. And I feel like, again, what was it that I wanted to show you guys that I got? I don't have them in here, so you're just going to have to use your imagination. I have, for a while now, before Taylor Swift's Eras Tour, have been thinking a lot about friendship bracelets and macrame, and how my Aunt Ruth used to macrame and teach us how to macrame, and how as a youth I loved taking the DMC and making friendship bracelets out of them. So I have been wanting to try Lori Holt's chunky thread, and her daughter does a tutorial on her Floss tube on how she makes a macrame knotted thread pull. And since I was making project bags, that led me to the pulls, and then I was like, maybe I can make those. So I bought some chunky thread, which I have left out in the living room, and bought some clasps to wrap on, and tried to do Lori Holt's daughter's tutorial, but I felt like I needed another hand. I couldn't quite make the knots. My hand wasn't cooperating as well on my left side, so I just did friendship knot bracelets, that same knot and that same style, and they turned out really cute. I don't have any to show you in here, but they were fun. I'll probably be making more of those. So I got 2 colors. I got a teal and a yellow, and I look forward to having that craft to do as well. So that, between that and work, what else is life? Oh yeah, my sweet puppies. Mwah. You don't need anything more in life. That's all I did. Yeah, 30 minutes of conversation is all I did, sweet girl. But it represents hours of fun and enjoyment. And I love stitching. So I look forward to hearing what you guys are working on. I hope this gave you a little bit of inspiring moments and some hope that you too can sew fabric backwards and it turn out okay. One of multiple imperfections in this quilt, but that I am a firm believer that that is how you know I made it and not a machine. So I know that once it gets all in the quilt, no one's going to notice, and it's part of its story and its life. So I look forward to quilting all around those backwards piggies. Maybe I'll cut some more out and sew them correctly so that way you can see the contrast. But yeah, that's what I'm going to be working on. Cutting things out for Halo, sewing a block here and there. I need to learn how to stop sewing the block, because when you start sewing, it's just addicting. Things start lining up. You're like, let's do that again. Well, now what will this piece look like? What if I do one more thread? If I fill in that wing, what will that look like? Oy vey. I think I have the right addictions, but it does often feel like I might have an addiction. But alas, I will see you in a couple weeks, if not sooner, and discuss other exciting things that may or may not be happening. And I will talk to you later. All right, bye.